Hello everybody, and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Andrew Kirchhoff, and today we're going to be talking about what you see on the screen, the 2018 Fantasy Football 2QB and SuperFlex strategies. So for those of you who don't know what a 2QB league or a SuperFlex league is, they pretty much speak for themselves. 2QB league requires each team in your league to roster and start 2 quarterbacks per week. A SuperFlex is a little bit different. If you already have played fantasy football and you know what the flex position is, it requires each player to start a player in a specific position where you can fill it with a diverse amount of players. So the flex can either be a running back, a wide receiver, or tight end. SuperFlex allows you to put a quarterback in that slot so that if you don't want to start 2 quarterbacks, which you'd be crazy to do or not do, you can also start running backs that are wide receivers, just depending on your preference. But at the end of the day, in 2 quarterback leagues and in SuperFlex leagues, majority of people roster and start 2 quarterbacks a week in order to give them an edge, because at the end of the day, if you play with 2 quarterbacks, they're going to score more than running backs and wide receivers and tight ends on a weekly basis. Other than that, as we go through this video, I'm going to be giving you guys strategies on how to approach your drafts when it comes to 2QB leagues and SuperFlex leagues. I'm also going to throw statistics at you guys to give you a better idea on why you should be following my strategies. And at the end, we're going to be going over a mock draft. I'm going to be mock drafting live, and we're just going to see how it goes. It's completely random, but we're gonna roll with it. So let's get right into it. So hey everybody. How's everybody going? How's your weekend? Hope it was great. Mine was good. France just got into the World Cup final. I'm not French, but it's almost as if the U.S. got there because we saved them in World War II, okay? Let's just put it that way. I don't know what I'm saying, but I'm here. Anyway, so let's talk about quarterbacks, right? As you can see on the screen, Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, right? In my opinion, these are the 2 best quarterbacks in fantasy in 6-point per passing touchdown leagues. This coming season, especially in 2018, Aaron Rodgers coming back from that injury, he needs to prove himself. Russell Wilson, every year is an animal. Last year carried the team on his back. But let's talk about quarterbacks and approaching the strategy in the first place. So why would people play 2 quarterback leagues? Why would they play SuperFlex leagues comparatively to the standard leagues of not starting 2 quarterbacks? Well, at the end of the day, people who play SuperFlex or 2 quarterback leagues want to take the value or power away from the running back. Last week, I made a video talking about who you should draft with your first round pick if you had the first overall pick. And the 5 options I gave were running backs, right? So at the end of the day, if you don't have a top 5, 6, 7 slot to draft and you're playing in a 12-team league, you're going to think, well, I'm getting screwed. So if you play in a 2 quarterback league or in a SuperFlex league, at the end of the day, the way I see it, a quarterback, maybe I would say probably 3 quarterbacks are going to be drafted in the first round of that draft, because at the end of the day, quarterbacks value go up and running back value diminishes. Because let's say, for example, last year, Russell Wilson had 450 some odd fantasy points in 6-point per passing touchdown leagues, and the nearest running back was Todd Gurley, and he only had 350-ish, right? So there is a huge difference. So when you draft one of these elite quarterbacks, you're getting more production at that quarterback spot comparatively to what their quarterbacks are going to give them. So it'll kind of even out them having the best quarterback and a not so good running back, and then you having a not so good quarterback and a good running back, right? So it'll even it out. It'll make it an even playing field at the end of the day. So it doesn't matter where you draft from a 1 to 12, 1 to 10 slot. Okay, so that's the logic behind playing it. And at the end of the day, you're using more fantasy assets, right? You're using potentially all 32 to 36 quarterbacks. Eventually people get hurt, rookies get to start. You're using more fantasy assets, which requires more skill. You've got to determine, okay, do I need to take Eli Manning now? Or do I wait and pick up Ryan Tannehill in the later rounds, right? There's a different, diverse strategy to it, and that's the logic of why you should play this kind of a league. So let's talk about strategies, right? So without a doubt in my mind, if you play in a 2 quarterback league or in a SuperFlex league, you should 100% be taking a quarterback within the first 3 rounds of your draft. Now, what's the logic behind that? If you don't, there is going to be nothing left for you, right? The top 12 quarterbacks, right, every year, they have their name value, the Rodgers, the Bradys, the Wilsons, all the way down to Matthew Stafford, who's consistent, Roethlisberger, and Rivers, right? If you don't select a running back and try to come back in the 4th round of your draft and it's 12 teams, you're not going to have a pick of the litter. Yes, you'll be stronger at the other positions. You'll have a stable running back scenario, and you'll have probably good receivers or tight ends. But at the end of the day, if you come back and you have to take, Blake Bortles won't be available. I mean, not available. He won't be an option. Don't worry about that. I misspoke. If you have to take, let's say, for example, Patrick Mahomes as your first quarterback and then go Derek Carr with your second quarterback, that's a little rough, right? You want to be able to take a quarterback within the first 3 rounds, because at the end of the day, when you play in SuperFlex leagues, in 2 quarterback leagues, drafting is way different. It's almost more volatile, because at the end of the day, there's not a specific way to draft in this scenario, right? You could look at the top 200 board, but at the end of the day, you're not going to just poach whatever's off that, because people are going to be drafting radically. Let's say, for example, your first round goes, and instead of 3 quarterbacks getting drafted, 6 are drafted, right? So that puts more pressure on you in the second round, and it puts more pressure on the other people who didn't draft quarterbacks to maybe think, maybe I got to draft a quarterback now, because if I don't, by the time it comes back to me, I might be screwed, right? So you always have to, be able to adapt on the fly as the draft is progressing, and in my opinion, draft a quarterback within those first 3 rounds. Okay, so other than that, I mean, there are other strategies where people say, I'm going to draft quarterback 1 and 2. In the first 2 rounds, I'm going to draft back-to-back quarterbacks. Well, okay, let's put that in perspective. Let's say, for example, you're in the back end of the draft, you have Russell Wilson, you take them at the 9th slot, right? And it comes back, and you have an option to draft Carson Wentz or Deshaun Watson with your second quarterback slot. Now, don't get me wrong; that is a deadly quarterback duo. But at the end of the day, I think if you're able to, if you go and draft 2 quarterbacks back to back, it's going to kind of put you in a tough situation, because your wide receivers are going to be all wide receiver 2s, because they'll be gone by the time they come back. Running backs are going to, they run out really quickly. Those top 12 not even the wide receivers, excuse me. Those top, 8 running backs, as soon as they're gone, there's nothing quite like them, right? There's no other running backs that are going to fill those slots, right? So it becomes a little more difficult. Now, if you play in a full PPR situation, obviously there's a bigger difference, because you can wait and get better value by drafting a Larry Fitzgerald, who's really good in PPR, or a Jarvis Landry, which will kind of bolster your offense. Not even your offense, but your fantasy roster. But at the end of the day, I think you can draft 2 quarterbacks back to back, but I wouldn't suggest it, because it's. I mean, let's say when we go over the mock draft later, we'll get into it a little bit more. Okay. So other than that, what else do I have quarterback-wise, right? So in my opinion, I would say if you go in the first round and you have like I said before, you have an 8th or 9th slot, and you don't want to draft Saquon Barkley, you don't want to draft Julio Jones or Melvin Gordon. You can take Aaron Rodgers, that's fine. Wait a couple rounds and draft a quarterback like Matt Ryan, whose ADP is not that high. Jared Goff, whose ADP is not that high. But in the past, they've 100%, especially last year with Jared Goff, he's performed. So you can grab an early quarterback, but take a couple rounds to shore up some consistent running back and wide receiver play, maybe even tight end, and then you can go back and draft another quarterback. Now, another thing, if you don't play in a 6-point per passing touchdown league when you play in SuperFlex or 2QB league, that's a mistake. I 100%, without a doubt, and I think everybody who usually plays SuperFlex or 2QB leagues would require it to be 6-point per touchdown, because without it, quarterback value diminishes a little bit, which kind of gives power back to the running backs. So a couple stats I want to read before we get to the next slide here. Blake Bortles last year was the 13th ranked quarterback, right? Which is pretty insane, right? Because everyone thinks Bortles is garbage, right? But at the end of the day, quarterbacks, they have value. So you have to understand that in a 6-point per passing touchdown league, know where the value lies, right? You don't have to go back-to-back quarterbacks or grab 2 quarterbacks in the first 3 rounds if you know, okay, well, I'm willing to survive with a, low end QB1 with like Blake Bortles and get a bunch of good running backs, get a bunch of good wide receivers in order to bolster my lineup. So just know that there's other quarterbacks out there that, don't pull positive reactions from people like Blake Bortles. But at the end of the day, these last 2 years, he's been a QB1. This past year he was 13, but the year prior in 2016, he was a QB1. Right? But many people don't look at Blake Bortles as that kind of a value in fantasy because, he's synonymous with being the garbage player that he sometimes is. Other than that, I just let's move on to this next slide. Okay, so you don't see my face anymore. Relax, soon enough, you'll see it. Okay, so in 6-point per passing touchdown leagues, right? Last season, okay, I wanted to stat out Tom Brady and Dak Prescott, right? Because Tom Brady was the 2nd ranked quarterback, and Dak Prescott was the 12th ranked quarterback. So they were both QB1s at the end of the day. But again, a lot of people know for a fact, right? Dak Prescott did not play well last season. As soon as Ezekiel Elliott took his suspension and missed the last 6 games of the season, Dak Prescott disappeared. Yet, his stats still made him a quarterback 1 at the end of the day. He was most likely starting on a team prior and after Zeke's suspension took place. Now, if you compare him to Tom Brady, which I am on the screen, in a 16-week difference, right, with all their points added, the total difference in fantasy points was 55.22, as you can see on the bottom of the screen. At the end of the day, the difference between Dak Prescott and Tom Brady was 3.45 fantasy points per week. Now, if you think about that, Tom Brady in a SuperFlex or 2-quarterback league is going in the late 1st or early 2nd round, without a doubt, right? Because obviously he shows up every year, throws 30-plus touchdowns, and he's an animal because he doesn't turn over the ball, right? And he's got great receivers at the end of the day. Dak Prescott, on the other hand, didn't play well last year, didn't have Ezekiel Elliott, looked like he was regressing. He was making a lot of mistakes. He was throwing interceptions left and right. Yet, it was only a 3.5-point difference per week between these 2 quarterbacks. So you can wait on quarterback, grab a guy like Dak, and it won't make that big of a difference. I'm telling you. Yes, 55.22 points may seem like a lot, but at the end of the day, when you have 11 people in your lineup and they're all scoring radical amounts of points, it's not going to be that big of a difference, especially in 2-quarterback leagues. Trust me, I've been doing this for a while, and I've been playing SuperFlex for quite some time. Another stat I wanted to throw out. So Dak Prescott, right? He scored 300 and almost 5 points last season. The number 2 running back in 2017 in half-point PPR scoring was Le'Veon Bell. He scored 299 fantasy points. So imagine, the 12th best quarterback is still better than, the 2nd best running back. So understand, the quarterbacks are going to score. It's 6-point per passing touchdown, right? They're going to score a ton more points than running backs, right? So but at the end of the day, you still want to grab those really good running backs in order to, close the distance, as I'd probably say, close the distance between the better elite quarterbacks and these Dak Prescotts. Okay, so let's say, for example, really quickly, okay? This is the point I'm trying to make, okay? We're getting there. So the difference between Tom Brady and Dak Prescott, as I said, 55 points. Now, the difference between the number 2 running back, which was Le'Veon Bell last year, and the number 12 running back, which was Jordan Howard last year, okay? You want to know how many points different it was? It was 100. The number 2 running back to the number 12 running back difference was 100 points. It was double the amount of points that the number 2 quarterback and the number 12 quarterback was. So just to put that in perspective, there is way more of a difference in running back production than there is quarterback production. So you don't have to go out and be drafting quarterbacks back to back in your first 2 rounds of these kind of leagues. Okay, that's the point I was trying to make. Finally got there. Took me a while, but we were there. Done. All right. So let's move on to my next strategy. Right. I'm back. You see, beautiful. We're here. Okay, stable. Right, a workhorse stable. You want to. Okay, so not you want. Okay, I want usually to have 2 really good running backs. Okay. Now, how do you get 2 really good running backs? You've got to use your first 2-round picks to acquire these running backs, right? I got Kareem Hunt on the screen. I've got Melvin Gordon. Yes, these guys aren't in the top 5 running backs for this coming season. So, at the end of your first round, you can pick up Kareem Hunt and Melvin Gordon back to back. And boom, you've got 2 running backs that are consistently put up 15 plus fantasy points per week, right? Obviously, it'll fluctuate. Sometimes Kareem Hunt will show up and put up 40 points because he's crazy. But at the end of the day, there is a strategy that a lot of people use in standard leagues, in non-SuperFlex leagues, which is acquire a stable of workhorse running backs, right? So this strategy basically just runs off of the idea of just drafting 2 early running backs, maybe grabbing a quarterback in the 3rd, and then going back to wide receiver and then another running back, right? Because you want as many healthy and capable running backs to carry your team. The entire idea around the stable strategy is to just acquire acquire running backs that are going to score just as many points as quarterbacks at the end of the week. So what you want to do is, maybe even have a later first round pick, because at that point in the end of the first and early second, these guys are going to be there. These guys, especially because Kareem Hunt was the 4th ranked running back last year in half-point PPR. Melvin Gordon was the 5th ranked running back in half-point PPR last year. And right now their ADPs aren't even top 6 running backs, right? Their ADPs are behind Saquon Barkley for God knows what reason, because people love these name-valued rookie running backs, just like Joe Mixon last year. Yes, Saquon's going to score a lot of points, but at the end of the day, he's a rookie. Come on, guys. So anyway, this whole stable running back thing, right? Like I said before, Le'Veon Bell, right, and Jordan Howard, the number 2 and the number 12 running back, their differences was 100 points in half-point PPR leagues. 100 points in 2017 in fantasy point. 100 points, right? And that's crazy because there's 10 running backs in between. But imagine if you can grab 2 of these higher value running backs that a lot of people just don't really talk about right now. Everyone's talking about Ezekiel Elliott, Le'Veon Bell, Alvin Kamara, David Johnson, Gurley, Saquon Barkley. Guys like Kareem Hunt and Melvin Gordon, they're not really being talked about. And at the end of the day, I think they can carry your team if you draft them 1 and 2. So that's the stable strategy, right? Draft 2 early running backs. A lot of people do it in other leagues, so I'm sure you're familiar with it. But I think in a half-point PPR and especially 2 quarterback and SuperFlex leagues, it can work. It can work, and it did for me last year. So let's just put it that way. Okay, so let's move to the next strategy, which is it's pretty unique, but I'll explain to you why. Okay, so it's called the 0 RB strategy, right? Now, what is the 0 RB strategy, Andrew, right? It's when you literally don't draft a running back for the first 5 rounds of your draft. Okay, so in the first round, okay, let's say for example, okay, we're still talking about SuperFlex and 2 QB leagues. In the first round, you'll draft Antonio Brown. Oof, that's a fantastic pick. Okay, in the second round, you'll come back and you'll draft a quarterback. Great, you've got your number 1 quarterback and you've got your number 1 wide receiver. It comes to round 3, and you're like, okay, there is another top 12 wide receiver there that I want. Picks up another wide receiver. Comes back. I want another receiver. Drafts another receiver. Comes back. You know what? This tight end looks good. Drafts the tight end. Now, you're thinking, how can someone score, enough fantasy points without running backs on the roster. You're going to draft running backs, right? But you're going to draft PPR running backs. So what does that mean, Andrew? These are running backs that don't have much name value, but at the end of the day, they score on a per weekly basis, as much as the other guys. Just like Duke Johnson, a PPR monster, will catch the ball 75 times, but you're not going to hear his name because he's on the Browns. He's going to be a number two running, an RB2, not number two running back. He's going to be an RB2, so he'll be between that 13 to 24 range at the end of the 2018 season, because he's going to catch a bunch of balls out of the backfield, right? You'll fit guys like Marshawn Lynch, Jay Ajayi, LeGarrette Blount, running backs that a lot of people think they're too old. They're a part of running back by committees. I don't want to touch them because I don't know who's going to start in that situation. You'll pick those guys up, right? And why you'll pick them up? Because their average draft position is way lower, and because a lot of people just don't want them. So you'll take the benefit of getting a great wide receiver core that is going to score a hell of a lot of points, having at least one or two good quarterbacks, and then you'll just fill those running backs with decent players that in PPR are going to be great. Now, if you're not playing a PPR, you cannot do this 0 RB strategy. It doesn't exist in non-PPR leagues. It doesn't exist. Half-point PPR, the 0 RB strategy is probably not as effective compared to full PPR, obviously, because you're getting another half point per that reception. So I would 100% advocate that this is a viable strategy in full PPR leagues without a doubt, but in half-point PPR leagues, it's a little risky unless you get Antonio Brown. Okay, if you get Antonio Brown and you can lock up DeAndre Hopkins and then come back, draft like Carson Wentz, comes back, and somehow Michael Thomas is still there, go for it because it can work. Other than that, let's see. That's pretty much it. It's pretty straightforward. You're trying to draft wide receivers and avoid running backs, which a lot of people wouldn't suggest, but at the end of the day, if you're playing PPR, it can work. And so let me show you these stats. By the way, I make all these, right? This one's a little clustered, but at the end of the day, I'm making all these. They're on my Twitter at Kirchhoff. You can add me, follow me, Kappa. Anyway, so I wanted to go over the specific stat lines, right? So Larry Fitzgerald and AJ Green. I went over the last 3 seasons of each of these wide receivers, right? So AJ Green in the last 3 seasons, right? In 2015, he was the 8th ranked wide receiver. 2016, he was the 34th, having only played 10 games because of an injury. And last season, he was the 10th ranked wide receiver. Now, if you look to your right, Larry Fitzgerald, right, was in 2015, ranked 7, 2016, 11, and 2017, 4th, right? This is all in full point PPR, by the way. We're switching it up a little bit, okay? So at the end of the day, right, Larry Fitzgerald is a better wide receiver than AJ Green. Yet, on all the consensus pro rankings, people have AJ Green above Larry Fitzgerald on the current or at the average draft position. Why are people drafting AJ Green before Larry Fitzgerald? That's the point I'm trying to make. If Larry Fitzgerald, yes, okay, he's getting older. He's like 34 years old. Sure, that's fine. But at the end of the day, he has no injury history. Yes, he's getting older, but he's Larry Legend Fitzgerald. He's the future Hall of Famer. He's producing on a yearly basis. He's actually improving. Last year, he was the 4th ranked wide receiver in full point PPR. He's improving. He's getting better. Yet, people are disrespecting this man. They're not drafting him as high. So the point I'm trying to make here is, if you're going into your leagues, you're playing in a SuperFlex, right? The first 2 round picks you make, running back. You come with the 3rd round pick up a quarterback, right? In the 4th round, you can pick up Larry Fitzgerald. Boom. He is a top 12 wide receiver from the last 3 seasons, and he's even better than that sometimes. This coming season, I mean, let's put this in perspective. Last season, Larry Fitzgerald had to work with the carousel of of quarterbacks. He had Carson Palmer for a little bit, got injured, retired. He had Blaine Gabbert for a little bit, which was a little, he's okay, but it's Blaine Gabbert at the end of the day. He's pretty garbage. And they had Drew Stanton, right, who's just a garbage backup. He had 3 quarterbacks, still produced, was the number 4th ranked wide receiver, and people are disrespecting him. So at the end of the day, there is a lot of value still left on the board. If you want to take these other strategies, then come back, pick up Larry Legend. Okay, so that's the point I'm trying to make, right? So the next thing I want to throw at you, okay? I'm telling you, I make all these. These are beautiful, okay? The next stat I want to throw at you. Now, in half-point PPR leagues, right? This is half-point now, okay? The difference between the number 1 ranked tight end, which was Rob Gronkowski last year, and the number 4th ranked wide receiver last year, which was Julio Jones, was only 15 total points throughout the entire 2017 season, right? On a per-week average, that's only 0.9375 point difference, right? So at the end of the day, you can draft Gronk, and he's just as valuable as a number 1 wide receiver, a high-end number 1 wide receiver at that point, right? So just to put that in perspective, you don't have to take wide receivers, when you go for these 0 RB strategies. Or you don't even have to take wide receiver when it comes back to you and you need one. You can say, forget about it. I'm just going to pick up Gronk. Why? Because he's just as valuable. Okay? Just another stat that I wanted to throw out there. Okay, so other than that, let's move on to the mock draft, because I think watching me mock draft will give you guys a better idea of how to approach your draft, especially in 2 quarterback and SuperFlex leagues. So, all right, so look at this. Okay, so real quick. In my opinion, right, if I'm playing in a 2 quarterback league or a SuperFlex league, these are the 9 picks of the draft, right? Todd Gurley, number 1, Le'Veon Bell, David Johnson, Ezekiel Elliott, Aaron Rodgers, Alvin Kamara, Antonio Brown, Russell Wilson, and DeAndre Hopkins, right? It can be in any specific order. Not specific order. It can be in any order, right? It doesn't have to be specific at the end of the day, right? So the way I see it, most likely, these are going to be the first 9 picks of a SuperFlex League draft, okay? So right now what we're going to do is I'm going to hop over really quickly. Let's see this. Let's do this. Let's do this. Hey, everybody. We're still good, okay? So where am I right now? I'm on fantasypros.com. Anybody can do this. It's free. You don't even have to make an account. You go to fantasypros.com. You scroll down, right? On the bottom of the screen right here where my mouse is, okay, it says 2018 rankings. Go ahead and click that, all right? And if you go back to that little toolbar right down here, there's a thing called Draft Simulator, okay? So I go down to Draft Simulator. So click Start a Mock Draft. Perfect. So this is the best way to mock draft, in my opinion, right? Yes, a lot of people want to mock draft against real people, but it's a little volatile that way. Maybe someone comes in, trolls, drafts Blake Bortles in the first round, right? You never know, right? So this way, Fantasy Pros takes the rankings from all the top, fantasy experts in the industry, and it creates an ADP for every player, and you're going to compete against, robots and draft the best team you could possibly draft. So right now we're going to go into a half-point PPR, 2018 season snake draft. We're going to do 12 teams. Now, I talked about the first 9 picks, right? I showed you on the screen. So we're going to go with the 10th pick, right? Which a lot of people might be thinking, that's not great. So we're going to go, obviously 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers. We're going to add 1 flex position and 1 super flex position. So your main lineup is going to consist of what? That's 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 starting players, right? That's a football team, 11 starters, and 6 bench players, right? So you go and scroll down, and we click Start Your Draft, Anybody can do this. You can go to Fantasy Pros, make it easy. Okay, so let's see how this went, all right? Okay, so this is random, by the way. I thought that the draft would go a specific way. It hasn't. So for some reason, Antonio Brown is the first overall pick, right? Then it goes with the running backs, right? Lev Bell, Gurley, Elliott, Aaron Rodgers taken. David Johnson, Tom Brady. Then it goes Alvin Kamara and Deshaun Watson. Now, this is why I'm doing this, right? It's completely random. I have to adjust on the spot. So, where am I going with my pick? Now, do I want to take the quarterback strategy of grabbing an early quarterback? Do I want to go with the stable of running backs? Or do I want to go with the zero wide receiver thing? Not zero wide receiver. The zero RB strategy, okay? So as of right now, what are my best picks? Now, the Fantasy Pros kind of simulation offers you, in their opinion, what the experts agree upon the number one pick should be, blah, blah, blah. We'll figure it out, right? So you can scroll down. You can see the available players left, right? The best running back left, Saquon Barkley, Kareem Hunt, Melvin Gordon, which are great running backs, right? I wouldn't mind having that as my number one running back. Best quarterbacks available, Russell Wilson, Cam Newton, and there's also DeAndre Hopkins available at, the best wide receiver. Now, last year, DeAndre Hopkins was the number one wide receiver. He scored 261 points in half-point PPR. Now, you're asking me, Andrew, how do you know this? Well, it's off the top of my head. I've memorized these things. Why? Because I'm addicted to it. It is what it is. So, where am I going with my first-round pick? Now, let's see. 3 quarterbacks have already been taken, right? And 5 running backs, which I've already projected. Those are the 5 best running backs this coming season have already been taken. And Antonio Brown has already been taken. So, at the end of the day, I can go anywhere, right? But at this point, we're gonna make it a little spicy, okay? We're gonna go for, this is actually gonna be a little sketch, but I'm gonna go with Russell Wilson. Let's just go with the first round quarterback. Let's see how this turns out, okay? We're gonna draft Russell Wilson, okay? He scored the most points in 6-point per passing touchdown leagues for quarterbacks last season, and he was a stud, okay? Let's put it that way. Now, what happened after I drafted Russell Wilson? Saquon Barkley was drafted. DeAndre Hopkins. That made up the first round. The beginning of the second round, Dalvin Cook and Kareem Hunt went. Now, at the end of the day, we can draft Odell Beckham Jr. coming off an injury, or we can draft, which it hasn't queued up. I will queue it up. If you go down, you scroll down this list, you can click on names, and they'll be brought up to the kind of mock draft center. So I've put Melvin Gordon up there because I think maybe drafting a running back would be a good idea. At the end of the day, half-point PPR, Melvin Gordon was a top 6 running back last season. So the question is, do I want Odell Beckham? Because, at the end of the day, Odell Beckham's a monster. If you've watched my NFC East preview, he's consistent when he plays, right? Or do I want Melvin Gordon, right? The options of Michael Thomas, Julio Jones, and Keenan Allen are still there. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to draft another quarterback because I think, Cam Newton's still there. Okay, so let's put it this way. If I don't draft quarterback right now, by the time it comes back, probably Cam's gone, Wentz is gone, Breeze is gone, and probably Kirk Cousins is gone, right? Which I'm okay with because where I'm aiming is for Phillip Rivers at 12 or Matt Ryan at 13, 14, and 15. I'm aiming for Rivers, Matt Ryan, or Goff, okay? So I don't need another quarterback right now. But do I need a running back or do I need a wide receiver? Let's see. You know what? I'm going to go with the zero RB strategy, okay? I'm going to take Odell Beckham Jr. Let's see how this goes. Let's just... Oh, man. This is going to be sketch. But we'll see how this goes, right? Okay. So, after I drafted Odell Beckham, right? The next 2 picks after me, Leonard Fournette and Melvin Gordon, right? Acceptable. Now, Carson Wentz went. Julio Jones, Cam Newton, Michael Thomas, Keenan Allen. So, 2 quarterbacks, 3 wide receivers. Another quarterback went, which was Matthew Stafford. Then another 3 wide receivers, right? So, that pretty much cleaned out the, majority of those receivers and quarterbacks, right? At the top, not even at the top, excuse me. At 3-3, Rob Gronkowski was taken, right? As I said before, in a half-point PPR league, Rob Gronkowski is just as valuable as a top 5 wide receiver. I'm telling you guys, Travis Kelce is just as valuable also. And then after that went Devontae Freeman, LaShawn McCoy, Kirk Cousins, Jordan Howard, Tyreek Hill, which is kind of sketch, and then Drew Brees, right? So a lot more quarterbacks and a lot more receivers were taken. So what do I have? What are my options, right? So the best, okay, so let's see here. The best wide receivers available are Doug Baldwin, Adam Thielen, T.Y. Hilton, Larry Legend, right? Of those, I probably like Adam Thielen more than anybody. What kind of running backs are left? We have Jerick McKinnon and Christian McCaffrey. All right, so I have a pretty good choice. The top four, they set it up for me. They're pretty good. I also would like to throw Travis Kelce and Zach Ertz onto this board, right? Travis Kelce was only a 1 point away from being the top tight end last year in half-point PPR. So he is he could potentially be of the value of a top 8 wide receiver this coming season, right? And as you can see, the top 8 wide receivers are gone. So there is an opportunity, maybe take Travis Kelce here. But the way I see it right now, I don't want to. Oh God, I don't want to go 0 RB at this point. But maybe we do. I pick. Okay. Let's see. Ooh, goodness. If I don't take Christian McCaffrey, I'm kind of okay. You know what? We're just gonna roll with it. We're gonna take Adam Thielen, right? We're just gonna say we're gonna go 0 RB. We're gonna take Adam Thielen. Let's see what happens. Okay. Okay. Woo. Oh, bless. Okay. Listen, look at this. Okay. So I took Adam Thielen. Why? I think Adam Thielen and Kirk Cousins this year are going to be great together. Adam Thielen was the number 1 wide receiver last season with Case Keenum as his quarterback. He was a first-time Pro Bowler last year. He came out of his shell, and he was the best wide receiver there, hands down, right? So after I selected Adam Thielen, Doug Baldwin, Jerick McKinnon, T.Y. Hilton, and Jimmy Garoppolo was taken. So that left me Christian McCaffrey. Now, you may be thinking, Andrew, are you going to stay to your word? Are you going? Now, okay, real quick. Quarterback-wise, 10, 11, 13, 14, 15 still there. Okay, I'm not worried. So, do you want to go, Andrew, with another wide receiver? You can pick up Larry Legend. You were just talking about him. Or do you want to go running back? At this point, oh man, it's pretty tough to be honest, because if I don't draft Travis Kelce or Zach Ertz right now, I am not going to come back to them, and they're not going to be there, right? That's okay, because as I scroll down to this tight ends list, there's a lot of value still left, right? Evan Ingram still here, Delaney Walker still here, Jimmy Graham, Kyle Rudolph. Those are great positions, and even if Greg Olson's there, Greg Olson is Cam Newton's best friend, so I'm going to wait on tight end. I'm going to wait on quarterback. I think I have 2 really good wide receivers, so we're going to go with Christian McCaffrey to start off my running backs. He's practically a receiver at the end of the day because he catches so many balls out of the backfield. So we'll just relax, okay? It's pretty much he's a wide receiver, okay? So after I drafted Christian McCaffrey, where did the draft go? Mixon, Kelce, Larry Fitzgerald, Ertz, right? So right away, those tight ends gone, right? Because this is where their value pretty much lies. I think maybe even Zach Ertz should be drafted earlier in specific leagues, because he's so good. He's just so good, especially if you have Carson Wentz. It could be a really dynamic duo. Allen Robinson. Look at these wide receivers going off the board. Okay, so it's pretty much, as you can see, wide receivers left and right. I'm not going to read all their names. Phillip Rivers was taken in the beginning of the 5th. Oh, my God. Oh, no. Okay, no big deal. We still got quarterbacks left on the board, right? Okay, and again, as you can see on the screen, the computer that you are drafting against is not selecting the best available by position, right? By ADP. As you can see on the screen, Phillip Rivers was ranked 13th. Jimmy Garoppolo was ranked 12th. Yet they were drafted before Ben Roethlisberger and Andrew Luck. Why? Because the computer already has it in their mind. Andrew Luck's coming off an injury. Ben Roethlisberger keeps talking about retiring, and they adjust, right? Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and expand the wide receivers list because obviously the top 25, according to the ADPs of the experts, have been taken. I'm going to expand the running backs list. I'm going to expand the quarterbacks list. So it's going to be kind of an eyesore because I'm scrolling so much. But the tight ends are still down here, right? We got Greg Olson, Evan Ingram. Okay, so no problem, okay? So where do I want to go with this pick, right? I got 2 picks within 5 selections. What do I want want to go. I don't really like Alex Collins as my next running back. At the end of the day, right now, I'm thinking I'm either going tight end or I'm going wide receiver. I'm looking at these running backs. I would probably, I don't want Alex Collins, right? I'll take Darius Geis. I'll take Rashad Penny. I'll take Lamar Miller, Derrick Henry. These are players that I'd probably way rather prefer, right? So I'm thinking I'm going to wait on running back. And I'm probably going to go with it. The wide receivers are kind of sketch too. We got Michael Crabtree, Corey Davis, which was a mess last year, Sammy Watkins, Pierre Garçon, Emmanuel Sanders, who can be a 1,000-yard receiver this year, Devin Funchess. Okay. We're in quite... Okay. No problem. No big deal. Relax. Where are we going to go here? Well, just off of looking at the available players, in my opinion, I'm going to go with Darius Geis. I think he's going to be the starting running back for this team. And, I'd much rather... Okay. Now that I'm looking at Alex Collins, I'm kind of getting a little... Okay. Let's do this. I'm actually going to bring Michael Crabtree onto this board also. Okay. So which Ravens player do I want? Do I want Alex Collins or do I want Michael Crabtree? Well, honestly, I kind of want Darius Geis. So I'm just going to draft him. I want him. Boom. Okay. So what happened while we were gone? Chris Hogan was taken. Jared Goff, Ben Roethlisberger, and Patrick Mahomes. Here goes the quarterbacks. Here's the quarterback run. Now, it's up to me. I've got to draft a quarterback. Otherwise, when it comes back, I've got to deal with Marcus Mariota. I don't really want to. At this point, yes, Andrew Luck's coming off an injury, but I like Matt Ryan in this situation. So I'm going to go ahead and just draft Matt Ryan just to avoid the quarterback rush coming in and me getting swept off my feet and destroyed here. Or do I go with more depth at a position? It's quite a difficult decision, but I'm going quarterback. Right, 6-point per passing touchdown league. I think Matt Ryan will come back. He'll be better next year. Okay, so while it went, everything was taken. Evan Ingram's running backs left and right. Quarterbacks, Andrew Luck was taken. Wide receivers, rookie running backs. Prescott, Mariota. Okay, so what do we have left on the board? Okay, what do we need to fill? I need another running back for my other flex position, and I need a wide receiver and a tight end, right? I've already got 2 good wide receivers. They're practically number 1 wide receivers, right? So I need a little bit more running back depth, in my opinion. What's left? Dion Lewis, not interested. Sony Michael, there's a chance. Ronald Jones, there's a chance, right? And this is, I was talking about earlier, when people go 0 RB strategy, this is when they start drafting running backs, right here. Okay? Ronald Jones, Tevin Coleman, Duke Johnson, Marshawn Lynch. These are guys that are going to have running back 2 and 3 value that you can survive upon in full point PPR leagues. Just saying. So that's where they get it from. So right now, I think I'm going to draft a tight end before they're all gone. Of the tight ends that are available, no, I'm not going to draft a tight end. Okay, so what's my logic behind that, right? Who are the tight ends available? We have Kyle Rudolph, we have Trey Burton, Jordan Reed, and Jack Doyle. Everything after that, in my opinion, is garbage. I don't want to draft Kyle Rudolph because I already have Adam Thielen. I don't want to have too many pieces of the Minnesota Vikings on my team. Yes, 2 players are not a lot, but I think I'm going to wait for either Jordan Reed or Jack Doyle at this point. So we're going to come back up. We're going to get better depth at a different position. Right now, Corey Davis is still on the board, and he's going to be the number 1 wide receiver for the Tennessee Titans. Let's just go with Corey Davis. Bada boom. All right, so what happened so Robbie Anderson, the suspended Edelman, Randall Cobb, and Will Fuller were all taken. Okay, that's fine. Now, what does that leave me? I've still got some pretty good running back depth on the board. Now, if I don't take a running back now, these are probably all going to be gone by the time it comes back. So my logic behind this, I probably want to draft a running back rather than Pierre Garçon. Pierre Garçon's getting older. He was out for the half of the season last year. Yes, he is a wide receiver in a Shanahan offense, but I think I'm going to go running back here probably. Now, here's the thing, right? When I look at this list, you have to take the guy you like best. You don't take the guy that you think, oh, okay, he's the best available, right? I'm not going to take Dion Lewis because, oh, he's being said to be the best available. If I'm going to shoot my shot, I'm going to take the guy that I want the most, who I think is going to be the best. As of right now, comparatively, Dion Lewis, Sony Michael, and Ronald Jones being the top guys, I think Ronald Jones is going to be the best of these three. So we're just going to take Ronald Jones. We're going with that young running back stable, right? A little sketchy, but I'm committing to it. Here we go. So while that went, Kyle Rudolph gone, fine. Derek Carr, Pierre Garçon, a couple quarterbacks, Tyrod. Oh my God, Eli. Oh no, okay. Well, all the quarterbacks are gone. Not a big deal because I already have 2 quarterbacks. Not a big deal. Sony Michael, and then a bunch of receivers, right? Those are decent receivers. Jordy Nelson, Cooper Kupp, Allen Hurns, Sterling Shepard, Marcus Goodwin. Those are good receivers, okay? But I've already got 3 good receivers. I need to grab a tight end. We're going to scroll down the tight end. So here's the thing about these 3 tight ends. I'm going to probably, let's talk about this, right? Trey Burton coming over from the Eagles. He's going to be the starting tight end for Chicago. And at the end of the day, he's a pretty good athlete, right? Jordan Reed, amazing athlete, can't stay healthy, okay? So, and Jack Doyle caught 80 balls last year from a backup quarterback, was pretty good last year. So who's going to be the best of these 3 of these tight ends? I'm going to go with Jordan Reed's probably going to be the best. I'm not going to draft him right away because I'm smarter than that. I'm probably going to grab another wide receiver here. Oh, man, this wide receiver depth is getting a little dry. I like Kenny Stills here, and I like Nelson Aguilar, right? Kelvin Benjamin, remove him completely, yes. Just don't even start me with anybody on the Bills. Just useless, right? So, what do I want? What's the best thing for me as of right now? There's also Marshawn Lynch still on the board. We have Tevin Coleman, who was an RB2 last year, which is kind of crazy. Duke Johnson still on the board. I don't think these guys are going to go that quickly. If they do, so be it. I'll take Tarek Cohen later. As of right now, I think I lean towards the idea of grabbing that tight end. So that's probably what I'm going to do. I'm going to pick up Jordan Reed. What happened after that? Tyler Lockett, Nelson Aguilar, Burkhead, and Kittle. No problem. I'm 100% happy with that situation. That actually went really well for me. Okay, we're back. Of the running backs left, right? Because, I want more running backs. Because at the end of the day, right? You look at my team. I'm always starting Odell. I'm always starting Adam Thielen. Corey Davis will be adjustable, right? I can pick up wide receiver depth more than I can running back depth. So right now, we're going to go ahead and I'm going to go. Ooh, this is kind of sketch. I think I'm going to go with Marshawn Lynch. Ooh. You know what? I'm going with Marshawn Lynch. I got to shoot my shot, right? Why do I take Marshawn Lynch? He's a starting running back comparatively to Duke Johnson and Tevin Coleman. He's a starting running back. He's going to get the goal line carries, right? And I think the offense is going to improve, right? They can't be as garbage as they was last year. Because if they are as garbage as they were last year, then Gruden's getting fired, right? People are going to ask him why he came out of retirement to coach for this garbage team. Now, you may be thinking, Andrew, should you be drafting another quarterback at this point? You got Jameis there, Andy Dalton, Ryan Tannehill. So another strategy, right? You have to make sure that the third quarterback that you take does not have a similar bye week to your first 2, right? So Russell Wilson's week 7, and Matt Ryan is week 8. So let's see. Of the starting quarterbacks that are left, right? We got Joe Flacco. So I'm not even looking at Joe Flacco, right? We've got Jameis Winston with a week 5. We have so these 3 quarterbacks don't interfere. But right now, I'm not a fan of the Bengals, right? And Jameis Winston, if he's left on the board when it comes back, I would entertain the idea. Anyway, so I gotta get wide receiver depth, like I was talking about before. As of right now, I like Kenny Stills more than I like Rashard Matthews because I already have Corey Davis, who is another Titan. So we're gonna go with Kenny Stills. Oh, man, this draft is not looking as good as I thought it would. But you know what? It's not a big deal. Now, another pick, right? Okay. What went? Jamal Williams, Jack Doyle, running backs. Okay, no big deal. We're going to scroll down here. Okay. Not a problem. I'm going to take... Ty Montgomery might actually be decent. And maybe... We'll go with Deshaun. Okay. So, of the guys that are still available, I kind of like Ty Montgomery. Aaron Jones has been suspended for the first 2 games of the season. Montgomery coming back healthy. Maybe he takes the starting running back spot, right? As of right now, I have, 3 running backs rostered on my team. I'm going to take another one. So I take Ty Montgomery. Let's see where it goes. Wide receivers, running backs. The first couple defenses are taken off the board. Jacksonville, Minnesota, and the Los Angeles Rams. Quarterbacks were also taken. Is there a third quarterback still waiting for me? Yes, it's Ryan Tannehill, which I don't mind. I don't mind Tannehill. I think he can be decent this year. The way I see it, right, he plays in a division, right, where they play the Jets and the Bills twice a year. They're not, great teams, especially this coming season. So he could have potential to be a decent fantasy value. Before his injury a couple years back, they were a playoff team. He was pretty decent in fantasy value. He was quarterback too. I think he can return to that. Now, the application and Fantasy Pro says draft David Njoku. You never want to draft a second tight end. There's no reason to do so. If Jordan Reed gets hurt, it's on me. At the end of the day, I drafted him knowing the inherent risk of drafting him. So now that I'm looking at this list, right, we've got Bilal Powell, Corey Clement, Naheem Hines, Doug Martin, Peyton Barber, which are handcuffs. Samaje Perine, which is a handcuff, right? At this point, I'm just going to start queuing up rookies that I like, right? Because at the end of the day, I'm not I like Tyrell Williams this year. And I like Jordan Matthews. Oof. Okay, we'll just go up from here, okay? So, I've got 2 draft picks coming back-to-back. As of right now, I'm probably going to draft wide receiver. I'm going to go with Deshaun Jackson. All right, what was drafted? Tight end, quarterback. So there goes Ryan Tannehill. What is my option for my third quarterback? Is Joe Flacco or nothing? I'm gonna bite the bullet. I'm not drafting Joe Flacco. I'm gonna assume that everybody else. Let's see, how many quarterbacks have been taken? A shit ton. No one's drafting Joe Flacco. As of right now, it says I need to draft a tight end. I don't want a tight end. I don't want Bilal Powell. I'm not interested in that Jets backfield at all. Naheem Hines, he's a rookie. He's a Swiss Army knife. But at the end of the day, I think I want a wide receiver. Again, I don't want Kenny Golladay. He's a third wide receiver in that core. I think I'm going to go with Tyrell Williams at this point. Shore up my wide receivers just a little bit more because you never know. Okay, we've gotten back. What round are we in? 15, almost 16, right? What happened? Whew. Running backs were annihilated off the board. Naheem Hines still here. I like that a lot. And what else? Wide receiver-wise, Jordan Matthews still there. Perfect. Okay. That's where I'm going to go. So with my next pick, I'm grabbing... Oh, you know what? Where's Joe Flacco? No! Okay, well, there it is. Okay, I got screwed over. You know what? If this was a real draft and this happened to me, chances are I would probably pick up the starting quarterback for the Jets. I think it's going to be Josh McCown, but at this point, I'm not going to draft him, right? Because why would I need to? Because I really don't need to. So right now, I'm going to pick up another running back. Why? My bench is not really a bench. My bench is turned into a... oh, man, Denver? No. I'd rather have the Baltimore defense, especially this year. My bench is not even a bench. These guys are not going to start. They're there for breakout talent potential. We're going to draft this running wide receiver. Okay, so now, as you can see, real quick, this is my roster, okay? This is the grade I get. Now, the grades don't really matter, okay? The grades, like if you draft the best available player every round, your grade is going to be higher, right? Because that's their ADP, like, I don't know, mathematical bullshit, okay? At the end of the day, what do I have? I have 2 good quarterbacks. I got Russell Wilson and I got Matt Ryan, okay? My running backs are my sketchiest part, right? That's why I drafted so many. I have McCaffrey, Geis, and Ronald Jones as my starting running backs. 2 rookies, by the way. On my bench, yes, I've got 3 running backs and I got 3 wide receivers. Why? I don't need another tight end. Yes, I probably needed another quarterback, but at the end of the day, I'll figure it out, you know? I don't have to worry about that till about week 7 and 8, which were my quarterback's bye weeks. Wide receiver-wise, I've got pretty good wide receivers. Odell and Thielen and Corey Davis probably going to start every week until their bye weeks. I have ample amount of backups there. Yes, probably this draft could have been better. It could have gone a bunch of different ways, you know? Maybe if the simulation didn't go the way they did in the first round, maybe I wouldn't have drafted Russell Wilson, you know? But at the end of the day, I did what I did. And okay, so real quick, let's look at what the computer went with. Look at this team right here. The first overall pick, they went with the no RB situation. They went Antonio Brown, Devontae Adams, AJ Green, Stephon Diggs. Okay, they're going to fill their 3 wide receiver slots and their flex slot with all wide receivers. That's a pure, no anything, just all wide receivers team. Okay, they went with Mark Ingram in the 5th. Andrew Luck, Greg Olsen, Deion Lewis, and Blake Bortles. So their starting running backs are going to be, as I said, Duke Johnson, Chris Thompson, which are 2 PPR studs, Deion Lewis, PPR stud, and then Mark Ingram when he comes back. That's not a bad team. That's a strategy. You can approach it that way. You know, there's other teams. You see there's balance. Running back, quarterback, wide receiver, quarterback, running back, you know? I, on the other hand, I went crazy. I just went with it, you know? Anyway, thank you for watching. For those of you that are interested, again, this is fantasypros.com. I'll go through it again. Let me go back to the main thing. You go down to here, expert rankings. You go back down here for the draft simulator. You click on the draft simulator. Start the mock draft. Pick your settings. You can even draft dynasty, all rookies. It depends. Some of these are locked, but you just need to like pay for it. This is free. PPR, half point PPR is free. Auction draft, I don't really know how many people play that or would like to do that against the computer. That could take forever. At the end of the day, you can also have this. You can have 32-man leagues, right? You can go crazy with this, but usually 12 is the consensus. At the end of the day, this is perfect. You can even adjust like, oh, no, never mind, you can't. Anyway, it's free. It's fun. And it gives you a better idea. If you already know where you're drafting this coming year, you can go ahead and try it. It doesn't even have to be SuperFlex. You can adjust the positions. You don't have to add a SuperFlex position. You can add 2 quarterbacks here, change it up a little bit, require it. Anyway, thank you for watching. And that's going to be all. I want to thank everybody that's supported me so far. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. And this is going to happen. But anyway, thanks for watching. See you guys.